Is it fair to compare the rumbling to the flood?
Yeah. I think it's fair to find any inspiration in this show from actual world history or biblical history.
I'm trying to think, like...
Biblical history or lore, I guess, depending on how you think of it.
I guess I want to know what the details of the rumbling are, because we have millions of titans trampling over the earth. Is it a right assumption to say that you're going to kill everybody who isn't you? Or are you going to, like in the flood, like pick who you want out of these places and try to be specific, you know? Like, I don't know.
We're going to part the Titan Sea for you specifically.
Well, because if the whole goal is to just wipe out everybody who isn't an Eldian, then what are Zelena, or not... Yeah.
Yelena.
What are Yelena and Anya Capone gonna do? They're not Eldians, right?
Right.
So, like...
They're not even Marlians.
So, like, what's the goal with the rumbling here? Is it just to kill everybody who has said that they're our enemy? I don't know. I'm sure we're gonna learn, but... Again, wanting to know what pushes Aaron to leaving. Aaron looked incredibly fancy with his new haircut this episode. I thought that it was... I thought I was seeing things at first.
That's the length that I like. What he has, like, right now, and then I think since... Like, I don't know, there's something about that length that I like. But once it got a little longer, when he was in
with the facial hair.
Wounded Soldier and Marley out with the facial hair, I was like, that's a little too much. Go get a haircut and shave your face.
He looked so fancy.
But I gotta say, the scene at the end where he's looking in the mirror.
That just wasn't fair.
That just wasn't fair. That wasn't fair.
Like, it's different because when we're seeing Aaron throughout the episode, I'm like, he looks so fancy. And then but it's still Aaron. Aaron went to, like, fancy school for a little bit and learned where to put his silverware.
And he was still young. That was 3 years ago. That
yeah.
was fancy 3 years ago, Aaron. And now we see, like, cold, calculated, like... I'm willing to burn in hell, Aaron.
Like, I'm seeing Aaron that, like, who's, like, breathing heavily, and I wish, like, I was feeling his breath. Like, then...
Right?
I don't know.
And he's in pants and he's wet. Like, what type of psychopath? Like...
I wonder if he, like, took a shower in his
pants. Did you take a shower in your pants?
No,
like,
no,
is
no.
that
He's
what
shaving right now. That's why he's wet.
That's a lot of water. Is that how much water is used when you're shaving?
I don't want to speak on, things regarding
the man things, people that
yeah.
shave things.
I wonder what we're gonna get out of Annie.
Let's just leave the place that we were in and go right over to Annie now.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's where Armin was, right?
Yep.
Armin's holding the shell that he got at the end of season 3.
I love that he kept it like a souvenir. That or it's like a different shell, and he was like, I just really would like to hold a shell right now.
I wonder if
he collects shells now.
I wonder, after feeling like he doesn't even get Aaron, and he was wrong in that potentially the person who feels closest to him right now, he thinks would be Annie, with all of his knowledge and potential memories of her whole. I don't know if there are any, but...
Isn't, out of the people alive, you know, Annie didn't want to continue on with the warrior mission.
Yeah.
Annie was hopeful that they could just go home and say, Annie didn't want to be a warrior, right? Is that what like, that wasn't her choice to be a candidate.
She like, from what I understand, it was her father or her parental figure who had motivated her and pushed her to do this.
Yes, and she never spoke up. Like, you know how all the kids were, like, in the garden, like, and Zeke was, like, a teenager there, and they were all, like, you know, especially Reiner and Marcel's brother, you know, they were all like, gung-ho, like, we're excited for what this could mean for our family.
Annie was squashing bugs.
And Annie just wasn't even paying attention. Like, she didn't have the same hopes and dreams, I think, that Reiner had.
Annie's a wild card, because Annie was going on missions and ran into Kenny. Like,
yeah.
Like,
I think Annie... if I'm going to speculate what her goal was, which I know she had a goal because she even said that she had a goal.
Yeah.
Like when she was waking up and she was in the interior before, you know, she was crystallized. I think her goal was just to have some peace. Like, I think she just wanted to not, for no one to have to do this and for her to not have to do this. And so she had to do it in order to get to a place where she didn't have to do it anymore. And that's speculation.
Yeah. Do you think, I don't know. What do you think Annie's mission is? Like, or was? Like,
That's what I think it was.
What?
To get over with this so that she can have peace and be able to sleep in, you know?
Yeah, but like, okay, say that her dad was the one who was giving her this instruction while we saw flashbacks during the end of the fight in season 1. Like, who is her dad to be telling her that?
But then he apologized to her for the position he put her in, but it was too late for her to get out of it.
Do you think that Annie's family was privy to any knowledge? Or, like, what if Annie was supposed to come over here somehow to even help Grisha or something? I don't know. I know it's stupid, but like at the same time, like Annie does seem significantly more individualistic than any other of the warrior candidates.
Like, I could speculate that at first her parents were very like gung-ho support Marley and they put her into this position, and then at some point maybe they realized that this was just more unnecessary, like fighting to people who are naive to this, and she was already in the candidate, so you kind of can't. If she had dropped out, I'm sure that if a kid dropped out of the candidates, it would mean some type of betrayal, right, of the family. I 100% think it would have. I mean, I think if they had returned on that day when Reiner was like, we're not leaving and we're going to do this, it could have probably been very bad for their families. I mean, I
think
don't
they
know
would not have been looked upon well.
No, they wouldn't. Obviously, they're not going to kill the people who already have. Well, they might just feed them to other warrior candidates. Like, you guys left your post and you seem to maybe be too scared to act. Or don't you believe that Marley's right? And don't you believe our researchers that told you what this plan was? You know, it could have really not spelled out great news for them if they had returned that day.
That's true. I'm thinking, like, I'm reading my notes on season 3, episode 21.
What happened on that episode?
I want to say it was...
You wrote Kruger at the top.
Yeah, I want to say it was the Kruger speech because I have the quote that the only truth is that there is no truth.
Mm-hmm. The only truths you get are truths made up by people that they think is the truth, or they want you to think is the truth. How do you get to the true truth? I mean, we're now in these big questions of, is it a devil or a god? Like, that's so... How do you answer a truth like that? How do you prove it wrong? I mean, think about all the people that try to prove if God and the devil are real, or believe it without any, like, what maybe tangible physical evidence, you know?
You know, like...
It's like the same here. Same thing here.
Yeah. Like, all memories and everything are connected. Like, we know that, right? That's a fact for us. I keep thinking about, you know, like, memories are connected. The only truth is that there is no truth. But then how Kruger was saying Mikasa and Armin's name, right? Mm-hmm. And how that's obviously a connection to Eren. If I'm thinking, like, okay, the only truth that there is no truth, everybody has different perspectives and ideas and, like, desires, whatever, and I'm, like, how does that connect to the desire of wanting to do the rumbling? Are you just saying and acknowledging, hell, nobody knows if God's real, nobody knows if whatever's real, but I do know this Titan power is real, so I'm just going to use it and become God and impose my will on the world because I'm the most tangible, real God that exists. The closest to it, because yeah, even in our world there are a lot of different religions praising things that they have never physically touched or seen, but if a giant 50-meter humanoid looking thing pops up in front of you, that's a lot easier for some people to accept than something they can't see and touch. Mm-hmm.
Like if aliens actually came down and abducted you or appeared in front of you.
Yeah, but it's just like, I guess the roundabout goal is hard for me to be certain of, because even if Eren, you know, you do the rumbling, you wipe out everybody who is an enemy, then what are you saying? Like, okay, I'm gonna die anyway at a certain point and just pass it on to somebody else. Are you really that certain that the rumbling will make it so no injustice like this ever occurs again? Are you just trying to kill everybody? Like, what are you trying to do?
I mean, you don't necessarily even have to order the Titans from inside the walls to kill. You could order them just to, because it could be more intimidating to me. Like, think about if you just saw walls and someone told you there were Titans inside those walls, you'd be like, but they look like walls to me, you know? Especially if you're in like Marley or another nation, you might think of it as maybe folklore. That there are Titans within the walls, and this rumbling that you believe is a thing that the king had said, that there are Titans within the walls, and you were like, oh, you know, some people could think that it's not necessarily true. And so isn't it more intimidating then if you get rid of the hard shell around the Titans and they really are a bunch of colossal sized Titans all standing in a circle, and that's what you saw and were met with? It could just be like an actual like unveiling.
Like an intimidation?
Intimidation. Like, you don't even necessarily have to unleash the rumbling in terms of like, hey, send off all of these Titans off to kill. It might just be more intimidating just to see all of them actually there, or maybe marching toward you.
Yeah.
I mean, even Marley was like saying how if they were run aground, you know, they can't necessarily... That's why they didn't send all these people over. They were wary of getting to the ground because of all of the loose running around pure Titans there would be. And you saw the admiration and shock on Yelena's face that there were no pure Titans running around.
Yeah.
She was impressed.
She's so smart, too.
But I think that was very poignant for us to remember, that Marley is still very scared of these things that they created.
Yeah.
That not only did they send it there to hurt and keep Eldia in, it also made it really hard for them to then get to the Eldians inside the walls.
Very true. Do you think that they're, so this is what I was leaning towards like a couple episodes ago in like my crazy bank, but it's kind of not, I don't think there's any possibility of it, was that Eren and Zeke were already in communication through the Titan memory power. Like through there's like a point where everything connects. And that since Zeke had royal blood and Eren had the founding Titan, potentially they already knew either each other's intentions, desires, or what would happen, or what they were going to do. So in that, they both knew to trust each other or go with that route. But I feel like Eren's expression in the courtroom and how he acted was just kind of like learning this information in surprise, which wouldn't fit in with that.
In my best guess of how things happened once of Eren getting to Marley and any contact he might have had with Zeke since, I think that he went over with Yelena. I think Yelena and him got over there on their own, maybe. Just the two of them. Or maybe Yelena came with the scouts. I don't know. I don't think that Zeke would have risked having any contact with Eren while Eren was in Marley.
Yeah.
I don't even think letters, because Zeke knew that he was under tight watch and scrutiny. We saw that most of his meetings with people were being like listened to by Marley. I don't think he would have risked at all like having any contact with Eren while Eren was there. So I am under the speculation that Yelena got to Eren with a secret addition to the plan, a message of some sort.
I could 100% see that.
And they just both went with this plan in mind without ever talking, without ever checking base, like, hey, we're still doing that thing. We still have those plans Friday night, right? You're gonna be there, don't stand me up.
Did Yelena told Hanji and Levi about the admiration for...
Yes.
Was that a mistake? Like, maybe like she couldn't control herself? Like, was that supposed to be under wraps, or was that what had to be said for trust? Because at first, initially, Yelena, all she did was accept the invitation to tea, which could be done by somebody who is a scared soldier wanting to just surrender, right?
I think if you want someone to trust you and believe in you, you even need to tell them some things that they'll be surprised you told them.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think she was just being honest. and just telling how
But
she feels in a way to actually show like, hey, you can trust me. Because if you tell people things that maybe are embarrassing or incriminating, they're gonna maybe trust you a little more because of the fact that you bared yourself so much to them. But I do think that her saying this doubles up why 3 years in the future when Zeke has arrived, she's at gunpoint.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we know that you have such a strong love for this guy that we're still wary of, and we don't know his true intentions. So that means that now he's back in the picture, we can't trust you. And Pixies was even like, you understand. And Yelena, as eloquent as they have made her, she's an amazing speaker, understood why they were doing this. It wasn't a shock to her. Everyone else in the room looked shocked. All of the other, like, ex-Marlians looked shocked.
Yeah.
At this, like, I thought we were friends. I thought we were buddies. But she's just like, no, this makes sense. I understand why you did this.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely think it's a possibility that she gave Aaron a message, but it's so interesting to me, the expression that Yelena has, like, remembering Zeke, or, like, the first time she witnessed the orangutan.
It almost reminds me, we haven't gotten a religious tone in the show of like how people view the Titans since the Wallace.
She's the opposite of the Wallace, right? Don't the Wallace believe that that walls were made by gods?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's still just that religious tone of God and in reverence, like that this is this amazing thing that I will follow. And so we haven't really gotten any type of energy like that from any characters being so motivated by maybe like a religious belief since the Wallace were kind of like crushed, and then oh my god, what was his name?
Nick?
And Father Nick, that Hanji was very devastated over his death.
How are you gonna forget Nick?
Once he died, we didn't really get any more of those like religious themes or people that were motivated by their religious beliefs. Because I wouldn't even say that Marley is necessarily like... Marley's never talked about their view of God. They've only talked about a devil of all earth, but never what their view of God was. So, yeah. So since Nick died, basically, and it's interesting. I mean, it's not crazy to me that this giant thing that saved you is something that you think of as godlike.
Just because I'm looking through my old notebook.
That is
right
your
now.
old notebook.
That's
the one you started the show in, I think.
Yeah, I don't know where. Oh, it's right here. But I was just looking through when we were learning the history, I guess, towards the end of season 3, and then I flipped back to 3x6, and that was the episode that Aaron, I think, was tied up by Rod and Historia. Mm-hmm. And he said, haven't I been to this place? Do you think that him saying that was him remembering it from Grisha's memory of being there?
Yes.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I didn't think about it, but once you said it, it sounded really
makes
true.
Sense, right?
Yeah. I have a question.
What's up?
Why and what? Okay. Why is all of those serums such a gift, and what do you think the island is going to do with them? As Yelena specifically said that they couldn't create these themselves, like replicate these.
I couldn't tell what Pixis was saying. Like, was he saying like, "Oh, it'll be fine. We will
this
create
is enough"? I thought he was just saying that this is enough. Like, this is all we need.
Could be.
But I am trying to figure out what they want to do with these. Because if you're okay with not being able to replicate them, then you obviously don't want to use them in the same way that Marley uses them, where it's just to get rid of every single criminal.
Well, remember what we were told, like the Titans being outside of the walls not only acted as keeping the people within Paradis from escaping, but keeping other people from ground level invasion.
So maybe the goal would be find out which of the Marlians in the cells that don't want to bow down and turn them into... What?
Or Eldians.
That's what I meant. Sorry, the Marlians that are down there that are, in fact, Eldians.
But, I mean, the only people who are aware that the scouts have already handled all the Titans outside of the wall are Yelena and the people who have made it there. So I'm assuming
no one else knows of this.
This could potentially be to keep up the facade. in a controlled way that there are still Titans there, maybe to give a fake perception of how far, if at all, the scouts have come, or the people within Paradise have come.
Yeah,
since...
but why would you... So, in stealing that, are you sending a message to Marley? Or what? Because I don't think...
If Marley doesn't know that they were stolen,
yeah.
the Titan serum, and they show up and see a bunch of Titans outside the walls, they're going to be like, oh, they are obviously, the people of Paradise, still not advanced enough to handle all of the Titans right outside of their walls.
Underestimate them.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking,
because
maybe.
Because they don't even know that any of the ships did land and did survive. They don't know that people explained how guns work.
Yeah.
They don't know that they know what radios are.
I wonder how... if this will lead to any more power-ups, like the crystallization of Eren.
Yeah, like what are these serums? Like, are these military grade kind of that armor bottle? Is that something?
I don't know.
Or is this all just to turn Eldians into... But I could see some of the people within the government currently on the island wanting to maybe use this as a way to get rid of criminals as well. I just could see some people in their twisted, yeah, I want to punish people too. Like the people that beat up Niccolo.
Yeah.
At the gravesite, you know? That type of person is like eye for an eye, keep punishing, keep that going.
I'm at a weird place, man. I don't know how they're going to handle Falco. I don't know how they're going to handle Gabby. Gabby just keeps saying Eren Yeager again and again.
At this point, I don't know what they're going to do with her character for me to ever feel like a love for her. I don't really feel love for Gabby.
I love Gabby.
I don't know if that's like controversial or...
Hey, I could be controversial. I love Gabby. I love her character
She just makes me so frustrated. I'm like, dude, you have so much evidence in front of you that this is not the villain. Like, that you open your mind to realize that everyone sucks. And don't just, like, be so grudge heavy. I think I just don't like grudges.
In all like, if I'm, like, trying to, you know, dissect it, of course I agree with you. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, it's a little kid. And it reminds me of Eren a little bit. And I enjoy when their characters on screen. And even though that it led to the death of Sasha, I think it was an interesting route to take the story. And it had to be one of the candidates to do it.
I just wonder if it would have been more compelling to me for her character if she had any sort of like, oh my god, I just killed someone. And then to realize when she gets there. I know, but when she gets there, I was hoping for this Gabby that realizes that talk that Reiner had at the dinner table and thinks back to that and is able to see that all of these people are normal people. Like, I was hoping for Gabby to be able to see that. And yes, Zeke brings up, would I ever be able to show Falco and Gabby this natural wonder? And Levi says it's up to Zeke. So I really think that Falco and Gabby are going to be locked up depending on what Zeke does and what his choices are.
I agree with you there. I completely agree. I wonder, though, like, the basis of why my feelings for Gabby are so different than Falco is all because Falco was in the room with Eren. Mm-hmm. And had that understanding of Eren, and to some degree, and then saw how it, you know, went down, and the conversation went down, and how it's to some degree Eren must be telling the truth because of how Reiner reacted, and Gabby wasn't there. And
my feelings toward Gabby are all because I know more than she does.
Yeah.
Like, I'm putting unrealistic expectations. But she only knows what she knows. She's even said, I wasn't there, you know? And I'm like, yes, but I know everything. And I think you should feel this way. Which is so silly of me.
If I'm trying to, like, put myself from, like, a bird's eye perspective, I imagine what you're feeling is for lack of a better way of saying it, the correct emotion at handling Gabby. I think that is how we're supposed to feel about Gabby. But part of me just, I guess, wanting to be different or something.
You always want to be different.
I
feel a sad frustration.
I like Gabby as a character and, like, how she kind of throws a wrench into what's going on right now. Like,
I think I can articulate why I'm frustrated. I think I've figured it out.
She's been told about, like, that it's revenge.
But I think what I can articulate is she and her feelings are a continuation of a cycle that is bad. And that is why it's frustrating to me, because we are seeing so many generations of and back and forth of a continuation of a violent, war-filled hatred cycle of calling other people that you maybe don't even take the time to understand devils. And I think that's why her character is frustrated, because I see a new crop of like continuing this cycle, and I'm like, I want it to stop. I think that's what it is. It's like, I'm like, okay, I love these people, and I'm seeing this war, and I'm seeing that this is just a cycle of that it needs to stop for people to be able to live peaceful lives, or war is just going to continue happening, like what we've heard a few episodes ago, that this is just human nature to continue this cycle of fighting, basically. And I just wanted to stop. And when I look at her, it makes me sad and frustrated, because I'm like, oh, this is what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid another generation of people just like back and forth. Oh, now the island hates Marley, and now Marley hates the island, and just back and forth and back and forth. And she's needed. She's necessary there, because what she's making me feel, I feel like, is very necessary and very on purpose. This like, oh my God, it's going to continue again. Like, it brings me back to what Armin said in this episode about wishing he could just talk it out and didn't have to fight. And Armin didn't want to continue this cycle.
He tried with Bert Holt.
And I think, so Gabby is really purposeful, and I think the things I feel about her are very on purpose as well.
I think that, like, acknowledging the fact that the cycle's in motion again is a good point, because I'm presuming that Aaron has a plan for that. Like, that, like, his decision with what he's choosing to do right now, in his mind, he thinks that the way he's going about things will take care of the cycle. And that's how I don't know how yet, but I think Aaron, that, like, it would take that much certainty for him in his decision to do what he's done so far. But with Gabby, I also think it shows how important it is for how different your actions and thoughts end up being based off of when you're told certain information and when you find out certain information. Does it fucking matter to Aaron at first when he learns that Reiner and, like, you know, like Annie and Bert Holt and his dad came from this world where Eldians are under, like, you know, like, basically prisoners, you know? Like, yeah, you're learning that information, but in the moment, you're still like, I don't fucking care about all this. I have only lived like 15 years, and within those 15 years, these are the people who have been dicks to me, and and they've killed everybody I love.
It's like, all perspective. It's all age and ability to handle big emotions. Like, is Gabby and are they 15, or did you just kind of pick that?
I was trying to think of how old Aaron was when all this happened last season.
I think he was like, last season?
Yeah, like at the end of season 3.
He probably was in his 15, 16, 17.
I just made like a random guess. It felt like, you know. Yeah.
I think Gabby and Falco, to me, I'm reading like a little bit older than preteen, but preteen maybe. Like,
I'm thinking Aaron when we started the series.
Aaron when we started the series.
Yeah.
I think so too. And I'm like, if it's Aaron when we started the series, they don't know how to handle big emotions and channel it properly, I think, is something you need to learn as you get older and you grow up.
Seems like Falco's doing a pretty great
job.
Falco
is doing a great job, but I think that
it might be too much for him.
It could also be that Falco not only so Gabby grew up in a family that already had the respect of the fact that she's from Reiner's family. So she already grew up with respect from Marley to some degree, treated a little bit better. Falco grew up in a family that was, you know, he basically and his brother had to be warrior candidates and serve and throw themselves in as supporters of Marley in order to protect their family. Very different situations. And Falco also had a big brother that cared for and loved him, that was present.
Yeah.
So very different upbringings, and probably those upbringings affect how they view Marley to begin with.
All right, that's all I have. You good?
I think so. I really want to know about the serum. That's a lot of bottles. What does Zeke really want? Are Gabby and Falco gonna be able to leave the cells? How is Aaron locked up for good?
I have so many questions. I could keep talking. Hell, why are there... Does the fact that some serums are put in cases with syringes mean that they have different properties than serums that are just put in a case? Are serums with twine tied around the top of them more important or different than ones without them? I feel like I could continue on and on, but like, I don't know, man. I just want to see what's going to happen, you know? All right, you good?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.
But I think that was very poignant for us to remember. That was very poignant for us to remember. That was very poignant for us to remember.
That was very poignant for us to remember.